All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And my good friend Cathleena Hailley is back with us today. And we're going to be talking about restoring the original soul fragmentation and releasing the imprint of sacrifice from the brain and body. It's going to be a fun call, high vibe. We always learn so much, and so much starts shifting as we're speaking, because, of course, as Cathleena is speaking, there are frequencies that are being transformed. Okay, so just be aware of that. For those of you who don't know Cathleena, she's been on our show many times. We love having her on the show, like I said, because it's such a high vibe call and so much change happens on the call. And so Cathleena is an embodiment of the divine feminine who works with the Council of Nine Collective, and in particular with Jesus, Metatron, and other ascended masters. Her coding accesses the womb water of an individual's birth so that they are brought back to their original soul expression, creating a rebirth to allow full expression of the soul's imprint. And as the lineage of the life architect, her crystalline DNA signature not only carries the frequency of perfect pitch to align to the original human template, earth template, and this universe's template, but continually recalibrates this alignment. So we're going to talk to Cathleena more about her work and how she does do her work as well. We're talking about sacrifice today, right? So that's a big topic. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. If this is your first time, please, and if you're watching on YouTube Live, or if you're watching the recording later, please do subscribe so that you can watch all of the live shows, upcoming live shows, and get all of the shows from previous shows, the replays and recordings. You can watch all those and listen to all those as well. And it is my deepest wish, desire, and intention to bring to you these wonderful speakers who are sharing their wisdom, their teachings, their experiences, their clearings, their frequencies, their activations, etc., so that we can all thrive and we can really live in greater alignment with our soul and our soul's purpose, right? So, Cathleena, I'm so glad that you're here, because this is a big topic, sacrifice, right?
Yeah, huge topic. Yeah, thank you. Always fun to be here with you. Always lots of energy. I always feel it. Of course, the minute that I make an agreement to come into any container, the container is already being filled. So, the energetics have been going on quite some time and continue anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
Always a lot.
And that's what I was just saying, that right before the call started, I suddenly got like so hot, because like I always have my shawl because like I'm always cold. And so I suddenly got so hot. So I was like, all right, all the energy is already flowing, right? So shift is already happening if you're willing to receive, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it's a little bit about me for those that don't know who I am. So the way that I chose to incarnate in this lifetime is that I carry original source codes, activated source creation codes, and I'm not from this particular dimensionality. My consciousness is beyond that, and I'm carrying, what I refer to as the life architect energetics, which has an awareness of creation itself and the creation principles. And so, and I also carry like a calibrator energetic, which means that when I'm not arbitrarily talking to you, I'm in your energetic field. And that's what it's talking about, is that the calibrations are taking place no matter what, because, it's all about the 0 point, and the 0 point is the place of no thing and all possibilities. So it's that representation of that shows up as this field of energy that I happen to be engaging in, that my Cathleena is engaging in. So yeah, that's what's coming forward. And so it's just lots and lots of information, and it's ever expanding, growing, changing, because energy is in movement, and which is exciting for me, because in my personal journey, it's that I'm doing all the same stuff that everybody's doing. So if people think that, those of us that maybe are more active way showers that are showing up, more presently, haven't done a lot of work, that's a misnomer. Because we do, and we continue to, and it is about that journey inward, continually, that is really the expansion of outward, whatever that we're seeking. So I love that.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because, we are constantly doing the work, right? And whatever the work is for each person, it's going to be individual, but we are, and we need to, and we have to, right? And so even if, sometimes it feels like, things aren't changing or things aren't moving, or it's like I'm doing the work, but I still keep having the same thing, because a lot of people say that, it's like the same pattern is still coming up. It just, sometimes just means a little bit more work to do. So which is okay, right? This is a journey, right?
Well,
And go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why everything that I do is about that. When we're talking about even this series, that this is all about, restoring the original soul fragment and releasing imprints. And that's what it is that, the soul fragments, when we take on a belief system of who we are, we're all, characters in this play, that we are the writer, the director, the character, the one who's also experiencing it. And we don't realize that we're all of that, together. We have this illusion that we think we're stuck in this role of, however we've identified ourselves, and we don't have a choice. And that's not true. Everything is choice and choice point, in terms of energetics. And so I think this is the key to, our existence. And so, the idea of this fragmentation in this identification, and then we imprint something, that is referred to as like quantum entanglement, where we forget that we're really source consciousness, we're really God, an aspect of prime creator in physical form, here to have an experience, just an experience, whatever that is, the brand new experience. But we are, from the minute that we come into this reality, we're told, what it means to be a man or a woman, or who you are, and whether you're hearing that, or taking that information in from the ears or the eyes or the, however, we're energy, we're taking in this information, and then we are becoming that. And that's the limits and limitations that take place. And so that's the imprinting that's taking place. And so this is a big piece of what I'm here to help, is to help wake that up. First of all, to say, okay, wait a minute, who am I? And this is that inward journey. If we do that from a curious perspective, and not from a place of like judgment or, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this thing? There's no getting out of anything. It's that I'm having this experience for a reason, because I'm source consciousness. So if instead I begin to be curious, and this is interesting because this happened to me this morning, and I'm just going to bring this up because it came up, is that, as all humans, right, we want to look a certain way, and we've got a certain body and so on, and I've really gotten to the point myself that I love my body. I really just, in the sense of loving her, in the appreciation and the gratitude for being in a physical reality, for being in a physical body. And when we have that authentic love for self, we're really loving the, all the aspects of ourself, the younger versions and so on. And often we say, well, I love my body except this part. And I was realizing, I carry just a little bit of weight right around, the middle area where, we do. And I, being pretty masterful at energy, I can say, okay, I command this to go and so on. And suddenly I had this awareness of like, wait a minute, if I'm commanding this to go, well, what if I were to ask, wait, why are you here? What is the reason really for this being here, from a different perspective? And it was a loving, caring, different perspective. And I was realizing that, of course, certainly when it comes to physical weight in the body, and many of us, women and men too, but, very typically, after certain ages and so on, we tend to carry it around the lower part of the body. And as I was going deeper into that, what I was experiencing was, it is about another level of nurturing, another level of loving, because that area of the body is, of course, the emotional body in our physical realities. It's emotions. It's also the divine womb center, and the divine womb center is our creator creation center. So if we are, get to a certain point in our, chronological existence, that we're questioning, okay, what's next? What do I do? I've been this certain, it makes sense that weight could come there, because it's like a, it's a coding, but it's an added too. It's something that we're attempting to soothe, in some way. And so and we do it, of course, through the layers, is that we end up with certain diets or things like that. But sometimes even without the diets, we end up with this. So as I was diving in, I was like, oh, okay. So this is why, for me, it's been next levels of authentic creation, like, oh, okay, where am I gonna, what's the deeper level for me in my creation, what I'm really doing? What's another level of surrender, that I'm experiencing? And I have been, very deep and euphoric. Doesn't necessarily take you into a place that you have a knowing, like, what am I doing? It's like, well, I don't know, I'm opening more and more, and I think then the body follows suit with it, and so in the weight, because it's a weight, literally, it's holding you down, it's bringing it, so it was just interesting to me to just go another sort of aha moment where you go a little bit deeper and like, okay, what am I really doing here? Because this is how masterful this false matrix has been, is to, we get masterful at dialoguing to ourselves, because I teach a lot of this about, talking to your body and talking to yourself, and being, the witnessing observer, but also the one that's saying, okay, I only choose this and I don't choose that. Well, yes, we want to do that, but I'm taking another level and noticing, like, am I doing it in a punishing way? And that's what it was. It was like, oh, I had a little bit of noticing that the energy attached to that was some of like, oh, I don't really like this, and it was like, okay, well, wait, well, it's here for a reason. What's going on? I mean, I think that's I always find it curious when we can go just another level of that self-love, that deeper part where we really nurture her, what's, or him, of what's going on. Because as those that have listened to me, I talk about that a lot, that the body's everything, right? Because we are prime creator, we're energy and frequency having an experience through this physical body, right? And so this is the millionaire, this is the relationship, everything is right here. So whatever this body is vibrating as is sending out the message to the universe and coming back into my reality. So it's just going deeper levels. And why we have so much is because we're multidimensional. We have many, many lifetimes. And then we have all these layers of intricacy within our daily lives, which is what I'm describing, here. It's like, it's layers about why things are here and what do I do. But here's the key to this. The simple part is, when you drop into that present moment, when you really drop into the 0 point, which is the place of no thing and all possibilities. I got my feet on the floor, I'm looking out my eyes, I'm in my room, and I'm literally just here, which means I'm in my heart space. When we're able to do that, we have our guidance system intact. We have the knowing. And if we just continue to practice that, you will see what you think are magically things happening, that, dietary things will come in, and information and things. And again, it's whether or not I'm going to bypass it, or whether or not I'm going to continually, embrace it. And the way in which to embrace it is to stay curious, stay in that 0 point, even when you're having discernment about decision making. If we jump in our head and we start to analyze through what we think our choices, that's when we get confused. But the more we drop in, and this is where this time is all about. This is what I'm feeling is a big piece that wants to come through for this group today, is that it is about the awakening of our natural guidance system, and who we really are, to be able to expand, because we are multidimensional, and that if we try to take everything through our mind, it becomes very overwhelming and very confusing. What do I do? What do I do? I got this particular diet, this particular da-da-da-da. But when we can drop in and allow ourselves to be our uniqueness and be that witnessing observer and feel from our heart about what is aligned, then all that confusion dissipates, because we are multidimensional. So we are capable of having many, we'll say, many decision makings happen at one time. But what we're guided to do is to push it into the brain that makes it be a decision, like, oh, I have to have this diet or this. No, because, like I said, we're energy and frequency. And so, there's thousands upon millions of frequencies and energies that we are engaging in all the time at one time. in the communication of the physical body and the multidimensional everything, right? So if we try to bring that into our thought, our brain thought, that's like overwhelming, you know, in the world. But it becomes so much easier when you just drop in and get to know yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. And, you know, that is the key. It really is about, you know, I always teach also about getting out of your head and staying in your heart space the best you can. And that is a process that you do regularly, like many times a day for those of us who are head trippers, right? I think a lot. So I'm a thinker for sure. So I have to consciously bring myself back to my heart space over and over again. Because I can get, you know, not confused per se, but overwhelmed sometimes. You know, it's like, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? Especially when life is, you know, in
Sure.
flux.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Cut you off. Yeah. Well, what we are awakening is our communication system, the authentic communication system. So the hijacking of the system has been the mind communicating to the heart. So through this, you know, soul fragmentation and these imprinting and all this of the ways we've been told, and how because we're multidimensional, and the eyes are the windows of the soul, they're master computers. So they take in tons and tons of information. And of course, the ears too, we're taking in all of our senses. So as we're young and, you know, we're taking in everything, and we are then sizing up what we think is our opportunities in our outside world, and we're bringing all that information into the mind. Then when we're moving through physical reality, we're not having our own eyes in a physical reality that's expansive and open and curious. We're having it in our head. We're inside now our head, looking around, because we become everything, and we're reacting to all of that energy. And that's the hijacking of the communication system, which is the head now communicating to the heart. Well, what we're doing and what I'm doing here for you is reversing that, where we're having the heart now communicating to the head. And so what does that mean? That means I'm actually having the experience and deciding what that experience is, and then giving that information to my brain that then can utilize it, you know, because and that's really us then, you know, creating the ego through our authentic experience, so that the ego is not the one that's in charge, that's running around and you know, telling us what to do and shutting down the higher self. It becomes the opposite of that. So this is where I always say, this is when the ego finds its placement in a good way, which is when this me knows that something greater than me is in charge. And how do I know that? Is through my own experience, right? When I give myself permission, which, you know, at a simplistic level, it makes sense, right? If you think about it, why wouldn't I be having my own experiences anyway? I mean, what do I have to lose, right? I can have both. I can have the dialoguing that's playing out in my head, and I can have a physical experience. Then I have authentic discernment about that dialoguing that's playing in my head. You know, and so it's kind of like if you're told, you know, well, you can't do something, but you know, haven't even tried, and you're like, okay, and suddenly at first you're like, okay, I can't, you know, like, you know, we glommed onto that, we've got it, you know, we're holding on to it, but then suddenly you wake up and you go, wait a minute, why do I have that I can't? I've never even tried, you know. And so suddenly then you try and you're like, wow, or you think about trying and you're like, wow, and you still got that voice there, you know, and you've got all the energy of that voice. And maybe it was coming from, say, a parent that's afraid, or somebody, you know, it's usually fear or something like that, and it's hanging out there and they can't, or it's coming from a place that they really, they didn't want you to know that, because they don't want to know that, because they can't. And so they want, you know, to be like you know, you like them, you know. And again, this is not, you know, it's just sort of a game. But say you then when you wake up to it, now you've still got that there, and you've got the energy there, but now you can begin to override that with your own discernment, like, well, that's interesting. And as you do that, you begin to feel, if you open with compassion towards like that other person, you begin to feel their journey too, of where that came from. And this is again what's happening, what we're doing for the collective, and opening up and unwinding, you know, these stories here of like, well, we've been taught to be afraid. We've been taught because as we know that there are beings here and humans that don't want us to be free, to wake up, to feel our independence, to do that. And there are ones that unintentionally have created that, which is many, many, many people. Through the collective, many, many, many humans in the collective are not ones that genuinely are participating in the desire to keep humanity enslaved. No, but they're unintentionally playing out the enslavement game, you know. And this is where, you know, sacrifice, where we end up sacrificing ourselves, you know, into all sorts of different directions. But it's that wake up, you know, that wake up happens when our authentic communication is taking place, right? When we are really in the present moment, then we are coming from our heart space. That's when we can be in a different energetic field with anybody else, and we can have compassion for them and begin to feel, you know, why they are reacting the way they are, you know. And there's a lot in this, and you know, and I've talked about this before, that everything's about matching frequencies. So all we're doing in human existence is matching frequencies in order to be comfortable. And by universal law, faster moving frequencies always try to raise slower ones up. So the example is, if you and I come around each other and I'm happy and you're mad, I'm going to irritate you, right? And as long as I stay happy, you only have two choices. You either get happy with me or you go away. Well, when I'm in that 0 point, when I'm in that present moment, I'm literally vibrating as pure prime creator. I'm vibrating at the fastest rate there is. So no other frequency can sustain itself there. That's why if I am allowing myself to be in that present moment as just the witnessing observer of things, and I open up with compassion, that's why I am now going to be able to feel the truth of that other person in front of me. I'm going to feel it because I'm no longer matching those energies that they are in. There's no longer a match. You know, we don't realize that, you know, and that's when suddenly it becomes like, well, why was I ever afraid of that? Was I ever afraid of that? I don't really, you know, and it doesn't even make sense to you, you know, and things like that. And these are the things that we're continuing to wake up to.
Yeah.
A lot of information coming forward today.
Awesome. Thank you. And, you know, this is about also being aware of our patterns, our programs, our beliefs, and questioning them, right? Because, you know, it's like in the past, you know, I had this belief, and sometimes it comes up, you know, that thing about, oh, I can't do it. It's like, hey, come on, that is not true at all. I mean, look at all the things that you've done. You know, it's like there's no way you can say you can't do that. You know, you can. And then so that little pattern, you know, still comes through from time to time, and I have to just talk to it and say, no, that's not valid anymore. It was, you know, earlier, right, when I was younger, etc., right?
Yeah,
But
and you can talk to that part too, you know, in the valid, yes, you lovingly say to her, okay, why are you feeling that way? You know, I got you. Okay, what is really going on there? And that's when we can go deeper and say, okay, you know, maybe it's you know, I'm needing to show up for a certain person, because when you go deeper, it's like, well, maybe my husband won't love me if I don't do that, or maybe who knows, you know, what's the story that's behind that, you know. And that's, so the more that we can love this being, you know, instead of go, oh my gosh, just be curious about like, okay, wow, that's still there, that's interesting. And as we go, and we get savvy at this, as we go, it's still there. You may even have a flash of an age of yourself or something like that, you know, or memory, something, you know, and then you just, yeah, you say, huh, okay, so that's interesting. What do you need? And sometimes you burst out crying. I mean, I cry a lot. I do all sorts of things, you know, just energy. It's letting yourself, it's letting those parts, because what we're doing is we're bringing those parts to the surface. We're reconnecting like those Russian dolls, you know, we're all the same, but there's tiny and comes forward, and we're bringing them up to the heart space, because they're the ones, those aspects of ourselves, whether it's other lifetimes or this lifetime, that have these stories of worthiness, of so on. And this is, again, everything that we're talking about here, all about soul fragments, and definitely about sacrifice, you know, because we're sacrificing, we're hiding. We're like, no, I can't do that. And we're, you know, but when we're like, wait a minute, okay, let's just start right here first. If I'm by myself and I can't bring that forward, That's interesting. Because we can't do it in the privacy of our own home and our own bodies, let alone in front of anybody else, because this is where the dialogue's going on. So it's like, wait, okay, and why? Oh my gosh, because there's so many layers. The reason that we're doing this is because we played, I've talked about this before, because of the false matrix that's going on. We played in both sides of the field. We played the perpetrator and perpetrated, and because humanity is still playing out good and bad, right and wrong roles, there's this underlying feeling of what's right and what's wrong and all this kind of stuff. And we have to be able to let that sort of pop out into our field as we drop into that neutrality and just, okay, what's the experiences? And maybe in some other lifetime we abuse power, but we know in this lifetime that that's not what we're choosing. So that's the agreement. We're like, okay, so we accept the divine forgiveness for whatever, and we allow for that energetic, and this is authentic, divine forgiveness is forgive me, forgive you, love me, love you, compassion for me, compassion for you, gratitude for me, gratitude for you, for the experience, for whatever, because, it's all source. We're just source consciousness here to have experiences. And these are also experiences too. So there's all kinds of experiences that have taken place. But, as we then, make an agreement and say, okay, well, what we're attempting to step into in this now time is authentic power and authentic vulnerability, which authentic power to me is there's nothing greater than that I am, because I'm source consciousness. Inauthentic power is something greater or less than something else. Authentic vulnerability is it is what it is. I am what I am. Inauthentic vulnerability is a weakness or a fear. And so what we are stepping away from is the inauthentic power and the inauthentic vulnerability. And as we do that, we're trying to find our way, because it's like, am I really safe? Am I not? Can I be? What do I do? And that journey on a very, very deep level is, can I really trust God or source? And can I really trust Gaia? Because we haven't been able to do that through the imprinting of the mother, the father, the parents, all these roles. That's why that's why it's so much of the journey of the self-love. We have to love her and just be like, okay, because this being is played all these roles. And the idea of restoring those soul fragments is that aspect of you that played in the game of power or even levels of vulnerability, which would be like the victimizer, is still playing out, because it's a quantum field, because time is not linear, time is spherical, right? So that part is still playing out in that field until we bring them home. And how do we know that? Is in ways if in this lifetime, say like we go to do anything, and even like in business, say if I go to do a class, and my motivation is it all on the money, well, then that technically is still playing in the power game, because that is me wanting to pull something, like I need something in order to be okay. But if I instead open my heart and put it out, yes, we're going to receive financial, because this is part of how we're doing it on the earth plane, right? But it's a different energetic, it's a different place of feeling it, right? And so that's me being in a place that I'm not playing the power game. I'm authentically in power, which is I'm going to show up here in a place of presence with a place of confidence and speaking in truth. That's authentic power, right? And authentic vulnerability would be, the game of vulnerability would be like if I were to show up and I'm afraid, I'm dialoguing to myself, oh my gosh, what are these people going to think? Let me make sure. And what do we do then? Then we go in our head and we seek the answer, right? But if instead, and I played that, we've all been in these games, but instead, if we were to what I do every time I go to do anything that I do now, and as you hear, it's not perfection. I'm just describing the difference in energetics. Like here, I just open the energy. That's what I do. I just say, okay, prime creator, my higher self, what's in the highest and best for all. Let's just show up and let it flow. And I think we can feel the difference, feel the energy here of the spaciousness and the excitedness and the expansionness. This is you. This is all of us, and this is what we are attempting to experience, remember. And if we can be in this space and then move through life in general, we're going to wake up all of those dialogues. And this is the real journey, right? Doesn't mean I'm euphoric all the time. It means that, just like you were talking about, Laura, that yeah, some of these dialogues are still there, but it means that I'm going to continue to just keep unwinding it and opening with love and compassion, because this is the law of one. This is what we're here for, is realize we're all one. Okay. It's not, I'm better than you and I got this thing and you don't. No, it's that we're going to open up this field and say, okay, but we've got a journey to get to this place of like, okay, who really am I? Because you guys are all absolute unique aspects of Prime Creator and have a beautiful, specific design plan for being here. Every one of you. So you don't have to go and figure it out from your mind space. All you got to do is let go and be yourself. And it will naturally come into alignment. And let go of all the dialogue that's saying, oh, the market's saturated or this or whatever dialoguing, and it's not push it out, because that's that shutting down. It's lovingly, okay, what's happening? What's there? And this is the gift that we're giving to humanity. This is the gift that we're giving, to ourselves. And this is not a no thing. This is everything, that's taking place here.
I love that. And it's so true. It really, truly is about just acceptance, loving yourself, loving the situation, and asking questions around it. It's like, what is really going on here? And allowing things to come up, right? So that they can be looked at. So there's a question, there's a few questions in the chat. Larry says, so when we create or bring into our life, is the brain creating? Does the heart have to teach the brain? Can the heart just create by itself? So you talked a little bit about that earlier, but if you could just elaborate with this. Do you see the question in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so the creative process, and again, I've talked about this before, but so we are literal creator beings. So we create from our thought and our emotion. So every single thought comes out of your head as a geometric shape. And that thought is the blueprint of your creation. It's the masculine mental parts, the paper. Then you add an emotion to that thought. The emotion is the fuel. It's the spiritual feminine. It's the person and the pencil. So you take a thought, you add an emotion, you hold it 14 seconds or longer, then it moves into the unified field or the 0 point. It finds a match to that, goes out into reality and comes back, goes out to the universe and comes back into reality. So, the idea is noticing what is my thought. And so, when you talk about, is it coming from the brain? Is it coming from my heart? Well, if my thought and my emotion are both in my head, if I'm reacting, in other words, so it's kind of like, okay, I can have a thought. So even something that's given to me. So I give an example of like, if I'm a little girl and I'm playing in the dirt and somebody comes along and says, a girl doesn't do that. And then I stop and I stiffen up or I change or whatever. So at that point is when my soul fragments off and maybe I fragment off freedom and joy and, excitement or something. And now I imprint, stiffness or some type of restriction, I'm restricted now. And so how that's going to play out is that when I go later in life to pick something like a career or something like that, I'm not going to pick something joyful and fun. I'm going to pick something practical because now I have that imprint. Well, if I'm thinking about that, right? So if that thought is I'm looking for a career, and now that's been in my head, this is my story. So I've now taken basically my heart and thrown it in my head with that story. I've identified it. I've kept that emotion locked in that together. Then that's why I'm going to keep creating it. But if instead I begin to notice myself, and this is that dropping into that 0 point, which is the heart space, and being the witnessing observer and saying, okay, wait a minute. When I'm picking this, what's happening to me? Why am I feeling, what's all the story behind that? And that's that unwinding of that story. And that's me authentically, questioning through my emotion, my own emotion. First, I'm dropping into the neutrality of it. So I'm disengaging from the emotion of that. And then I'm beginning to notice like, wow, I'm not letting myself feel free just right here. This is why I keep bringing it back to just right here. Forget anything out there. Start to notice you're carrying yourself tight. You're carrying yourself a certain way, energy and frequency. This is what we're doing. Because we're trained to do that. We're trained to be something all the time until we realize, wait, so that's the dialoguing in the head, and that's the reacting to it. That means I'm taking now the fuel, the really important part of me as a creator being, and that's already shut down. So what I'm learning is to practice the authentic creative process, which is bring my own thoughts into my head. Because remember, these were brought in through the experiences of me taking in information of a world that is designed to keep you in three major frequencies: enslavement, imprisonment, and sacrifice. Okay, so we are, imprisoned within the mind, within the limits and limitations. We are enslaved within the idea of our environment, our people, whatever. And then we sacrifice health for money. We sacrifice all kinds of things until we don't. And we've been guided somehow that it's helpful to, be in the privacy of my own space, my own home, and torture myself with thoughts and emotions. And somehow that's helpful to me. I mean, think about it. We could say, oh my God, I don't know where my money's coming from. Or I could go, well, I don't know. I don't have any idea. And the difference is in the place where I don't know. Look, if I don't know, I don't know. Okay, so okay. But now if I go, well, I don't know, and then I can have an authentic experience. Then I could start to go, if I remember the creative process, I could go, well, I mean, then anything can happen. I could win the lottery, I could get inheritance, somebody could come along. And at that point is when I'm in my heart. Now I'm basically thinking from my heart space. I'm experiencing, I'm allowing, I'm letting the information. This is that guidance system that wants to come in. And if you allow that, then you will be guided to physical things. This is the practice. What we're talking about here is mastering the mind. This is the key to this. We want to become the master of our own mind. And how do we do that? Is we just observe, we notice what are the thoughts there and how am I reacting to them? Because it's like we've got all the characters of our life, the mother, the father, they're all standing inside your head and you're reacting to them 24/7 until you're not. This is the key. And when so the first steps is noticing that, just noticing like, what am I doing? Because I'm going to keep going back to it. We are creator beings. The body's everything. This is it right here. Forget out there. See, because as a creator is that I believe it, then I see it. But think about it. We've been taught, I will believe it when I see it. That's keeping you in reaction mode all the time. That means the literal creative part of creation is controlled. So you're never really creating. You're just reacting until you're not. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Larry, let us know how that resonates with you. That was a lot of information, but I hope you'll all notice as well that when, because I've noticed it, that when Cathleena is talking, it's not just words. She's actually transmitting frequencies, right? And she's actually working in our fields as she's speaking. So I know for myself, I've since this call has started, of course, I got hot, now I'm cold, but I also was I'm not saying I'm tired, but I'm tired. So it's I'm yawning, right? And I was yeah, my eyes are really heavy. So I'm trying to keep myself, awake, right? But it's not about being tired. It's about the energies and the frequencies and how they're affecting you. So just be open to perceiving that and then being open to receive the change, right, Cathleena?
Yes, and that makes sense. If you are feeling very sleepy, it's because it's very deep for you. There's a lot of energetics. The cold is because the things that are usually more in this physical reality that are being touched, that the hot is usually other lifetimes and things like that. It's a much more galactic, but yes, there's a lot of different things that are going on. Don't worry, it is coming in the information in multidimensional levels, and you'll have opportunity to revisit this. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Good. So there's a question from Hania in the chat, and she says, I'm in my head a lot, but recently I've been wondering, is it that I'm in my head, or is it that I break the connection between the head and my heart? Is the issue in the connection and that my head and heart have been separated, or in the flow between the two? I know, there I go there. I know, I don't know, because I'm afraid of feeling, and I judge myself a lot, and judgment divides things. Any insight on this and what I can specifically do to resolve it would help. Yeah, so that was a lot of in the head stuff for sure.
Yeah. And then again, it's all about judgment that you said, and that is one of the series that you can have. I do have a series on judgment. That's also, but that's a huge piece. So judgment is a big thing that we're doing all the time. And that's why I keep talking about bring it right home. Okay. Because if we can really practice having our feet on the floor, being right here, like right here where I am sitting, I'm safe, I'm free, because I am. If I can look at myself, you can practice looking in the mirror, you can practice just really being present. I wrote a small book. It's called The Pocket Guide to Presence. It's on my website. It's an ebook. It has pictures and colors about getting and staying present. And some of the techniques are very simple things, like you wake up in the morning and your head starts taking off in your day, and you bring yourself back and you ask yourself, what am I wearing? Why did I choose this? Because everything's frequency and energy. So we want to begin to wake ourselves up. And I know that when we're feeling like, oh my God, I got to get money, I got to get all that, we want to bypass everything I'm saying to you, because there's the urgency. There's this like, no, this isn't going to be helpful. I assure you that is completely the opposite. This is the most profound thing that you can do for yourself, is truly get present and give yourself permission to feel. This is the mastery of the mind, because all of the false matrix, everything that's been created is through the mind. It's telling you what you can and can't do. But I assure you, you are prime creator, your source consciousness. You can do anything. All things are possible through this creative process. All things are possible. And it's really just our belief system in them. And I know, again, this feels very challenging. We're like, well, I can't just stand here and believe it. Well, that's true if you don't really, if you're trying to convince the brain, but the body's in a whole different mechanism, that's not going to work, because the body is the thing that's the communicator. This is the truth. Divine truth is here, not here. Okay, the brain is just like a computer that's just taking in a lot of information. That's why it's a mastery of it. It's what we are waking up to, is to have your own interpretation, your own belief system, your own divine truth, of what life is about, your own sense of direction, whatever that is. And I've described this a little bit, and this may be helpful, is that think about, so in order for us to have a physical reality, and so us as source consciousness, how we engage in a physical reality is we take this information called you, it's your soul. And the way that I like to look at it is like prime creator, source consciousness, God, if you will, is like a giant library of information. And you are a smaller library of the giant library. And, that's your soul. And so we take this library of information called you, and we download it into the brain. So it's basically like the software in a computer, right? The software tells the computer what to do. So we download ourselves into the brain, then we communicate to the body. And think of the body as like a giant mall of people. So I'm either in synergistic communication, I'm not, what am I doing? I'm communicating, right? And so and there's several things going on there, but so if this, in order for us to have a physical reality, we need a kind of container, right? And so if this were a room, and say in the corner of the room you have a candle lit, and that would mean 25% of the room is light. That means 75% of the room is dark. So the difference between light and dark is information. Light is information, dark is the absence of information. Well, if that were your body, that would mean 25% of me is in my body, 75% is something else. What is that something else? You know, it's the collective beliefs. It's, you know, my parents, it's everything else. Well, in order to shift that energy, if it's in the room, all I have to do is expand that candlelight across the room and all the darkness goes away. It's exactly the same thing within your body. And that's the idea of that letting go. It's taking breaths and going, can I just be? You know, we're all just kids on the playground. Can I just be that little kid? Can I allow myself here, regardless of what my literal story is? I mean, you could have a literal story in your life that's like, I have no money, I have da 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 da. Okay, yes. But I have a choice about how I'm in this present moment going to react to that. And this is what I'm trying to describe, that difference is immense. Because how I'm reacting here, if I'm able to be in that present moment, it's not a la-di-da-di-da, like I'm just, you know, going to get drunk and high and blah, 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 and ignore it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about authentically dropping into the present moment. What happens is, because as I said before, everything is about matching frequencies. The minute that you engage in that 0 point, you are prime creator. And so it's as though all those energies pop out into your field. All of that energy of the reason that you are struggling, the reason that you don't have money, the reason on an energy level is now popped out into your field. It's not, you're not embodying, it's right here. And you will have opportunity to either re-embody that or let that go. And what is that experience like? It means that suddenly you may, you know, be in your room and go, wow, you know, I'm looking around my room and nothing in here is me. I've got things from past relationships, or I've got, you know, what am I doing? Because everything is frequency and energy. Okay. Or you may, you know, just anything. This is how it will suddenly start to wake you up. It's like, wow, I don't even know who I am, and I don't even know what my life is. And when we can, instead of going in a judgment like, oh my God, I don't know my life, I don't know, we can go, wow, okay, I don't know. Well, that's cool. Well, let me discover it. You know, and make that be a happy moment, an exciting, like, oh wow. I remember that happened to me. I mean, I was in a house and I was in a relationship that ended, and it took me a long time to even move stuff around. And I was like, what? This is interesting. I was like, wow, what am I doing? No wonder I was feeling like down, and we don't even notice, you know, what we're doing. You know, that's why I picked the color. Like I changed, I had 3 different opera tops available to me. I mean, I have many tops, but that I thought I was going to put on. And I was like, nope, gold. I need gold today. And here it is, you know, because I just feel it, you know, what we are. And this is all it is we're getting familiar with our own unique guidance system, you know. So that's how we then feed that information to the brain, to the mind, right? So to get there is notice what's already in the brain. Just notice, but notice more importantly, what is it doing to here? How is it making me feel? Because this is what I talked about before. How do I move from my head to my heart space? Is I have to start to notice, what is my thought? What is my emotion? And what's happening to this vehicle? That's the most important. And in order to do that, I have to own first how my current energy and frequency is serving me. Because we don't think it's serving us. You know, the person that's struggling with money, we don't think that's serving me. We don't think that I'm bringing that in for a reason, but you are. And so this is my story when I talk about how I used to wake up in the morning and I would say, you're such a failure. And I was like racing around trying to get things done. And one morning I woke up and I practiced. I listened to my thought. I felt the emotion. And I realized that there was some comfort in this, that I was comfortable in dialoguing that I was a failure. And I was like, oh, I didn't judge it. I just noticed it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And so, you know, now that I have the authentic emotion that I'm creating, I can ask myself, do I really want this? And I was like, no, I don't really want that. So next day I wake up, it's still there. The dialogue doesn't just go away. But now I could say, well, you know what? I might not know what success is, but I know I don't want to feel this. That's the moment I pull out of my head and into my heart. Now I'm in the unknown. But we're not taught to be in the unknown. We're taught to be in the known. So, I started to say, well, what really is failure? And what really is success? And whose voice is this anyway? And what am I doing to myself? That's when it brings it right here. This is what we want to start to wake up to. Like, what is this dialoguing? What am I doing? Okay, so this is again this mastery of the mind, and that stepping out of. So and in that case, like I said, the serving me part was, it was familiar. Things are familiar. We don't realize that this is where we become comfortable. We are energy and frequency. We are source consciousness. We are everything in your reality you are bringing into your reality. And so it's the difference between, and I may have said this already, that quantum entanglement is when I forget that I'm actually source, God, having an experience called Cathleena, and I become Cathleena instead. If I become her, who have I become? This is this idea of becoming the witnessing observer. It's like there's two of me. Suddenly I'm standing here and I'm noticing her. And you can start to practice this in ways like, notice, like when you're thinking about going to a certain location or coming near a person, and start to notice, are you going right in your head? Are you starting to dialogue? Are you sizing them up? Notice yourself. Notice, what are you doing? Are you guarding? We think about relationships that people do all the time, right? If you're going on a date or doing something, everything's got to be perfect. But what am I doing? Why? What if I didn't do that? Yes, I picked my clothes. I picked this gold, felt gold, and my hair's doing whatever it's doing. But there would have been a time I would have been like, oh my God, I got to fix this. I got, so this is what we're stepping out of.
Yeah.
We're getting to know who we are. We're getting to know who we are.
Absolutely. And, and that is a very powerful way of discovering who we are. Right. And so it's no judgment. It's just total acceptance and wonder. Really, it's about wonder of this is how I'm being right now. This is how I'm being now. This is how, okay, who is being this? Just asking those types of questions as well, right?
Yeah. And another thing we can do is you can practice first times, which is also helpful to get an idea of what energy I'm in. So the idea of first times is, you kind of have to work yourself up. So say I'm getting ready to go to my home. Then I start to say to myself, oh, I'm going to this new place. I've never been there before. I wonder what it's like. And so you have a moment to actually have an experience and be aware of what's happening to you as you look at your home, as you step into your home. Did I take a deep breath? Am I holding? Am I happy? Am I not? And you can notice this around your partner. You can notice this around anything. And it's like, am I, just waking yourself up to, what have I created? And the other big piece in this is being bold enough and brave enough to let go of that. Because this is another big part of why this enslavement and why sacrifice is such a big one, which is what this is about, is that, we're so afraid to let go, which is irony because everything's in motion. Think about it. The physical body is totally in motion. Any disease that happens, any breaking down, any financial stress, any of those things only occur because I'm holding something. It's that idea of like, I don't have a job, so I get a job, and then I think it's the only job. This is all part of the programming, but when I can allow myself to be fluid, because I'm a really different person than a moment ago, then a year ago, than whatever, all we are. Unless we're not, because we're holding. But that's when you notice, that's when things break down. So it's about allowing the flow. And this is something that's coming through too. If you can imagine everyone here, you guys are all a puzzle piece in this giant quantum field. But you're not a flat puzzle piece. You're a spherical moving puzzle piece. So as you let yourself be you, then you beautifully synergistically align with all things in alignment with you and with all things. And that's the thing. Think about it. If we were little kids and we didn't have this matrix here, we didn't have all this, how you're told you're supposed to be, we would be having fun because we'd just be discovering. We'd be curious. We'd be playful. But we are that. So when you let yourself be that internally, and discover your own self. This is how we show up. This is how, you know, you get to know who you are and you show up in the reality. So
I love that. So powerful. So powerful. So Cathleena, we normally, or you normally facilitate like an activation kind of thing, right?
yes.
So let's just take a few minutes and talk about the packages, and then we'll come back and do the activation. How's that? Does that sound okay?
Sure.
I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see the screen. And so the packages that Cathleena has for today is the 9-week series on sacrifice is package A, and then package B is everything in package A plus a 50-minute private session with Cathleena. And of course, a payment plan is available for both packages. And if you are an Inner Circle member, please do use your gift code as well. So like Cathleena was saying, the 9-week series is about restoring the original soul fragmentation and releasing the imprint of sacrifice from the brain and body. This is so is this a live program, or is this a pre-recorded one?
Yeah, so all of these are pre-recorded, but everything I do is in the 0 point. So no matter when you listen, it's in the present moment. Each time you listen, it's in the present moment. And so this series, it's 9 weeks of going through the body system. So we go to each body system with and releasing this frequency of sacrifice. The reason being the body systems, because the body's everything. So this is playing out in many different ways and different, you know, aspects of self. And so that's really what this is. And this is great because you have opportunity to get it right away and to step right into the energy with it. And of course, in a private session, it's catered to you. You know, I always ask people like, why are you here? Why do you think you're here? And then I go deeper and what how I work is that I'm able to look at your entire quantum field, which is what I'm doing now. I'm holding the space for all of that and looking into the entire field. So I can look at past, present, future, your body, you know, your whole life experiences, and then whatever wants to come forward, we bring all that forward and shift and change. And it's all very quantum. It's a lot of quantum level, working with quantum level DNA and structural things and so on. And that's really what's here. It's interesting. This because this is about sacrifice, the energy that's here is like causing everybody to kind of like, because they don't realize the exhaustion that's taking place by the sacrificing of self, you know, and that's like that depletion, that energetics. So I'm going to help clear a lot of that. Don't worry.
Awesome.
Today. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So again, package A and B, the 9-week series. Package B is the 9-week series plus the 50-minute private session with Cathleena. So please do take advantage of either or both. And like I said, the payment plan is available for you for there. So I'm excited about. See, my throat is always like going, right? You know, like when we're on these calls. But I'm excited about doing this because obviously I've been feeling it, you know, and I do have that feeling from time to time where I'm have sacrificed or I'm sacrificing, etc. And you know, so it's definitely a pattern. It's also a pattern in my family, you know, as well. So definitely can relate.
Yeah. Well, let's go into this activation. I'm going to change the sound, so you're probably going to hear some nuances, but I want to make sure get all the nuances, so you might hear a fan in the background. Okay, so if everyone wants to close their eyes and take some nice deep breaths, I'm just going to move into this energy. Asalgas cosas sa yung metara kalagi la kutimpo kuismini la kata tatagasa. Amo kotera imira la casa de to imira kosmena katitu kos. Kasa apa pokoknya tara kasa meto kumas la kitu shumina. Hama pakawas milaka sako imilaka sarakatas mito imira papa. Close all portals, gateways, pathways, meridians, stargates, wormholes of any access to my energy, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum from my conscious, subconscious, and cellular memory. Take a deep breath. Release all entities, energies, inorganic frequencies, inorganic technologies, inorganic timelines, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum. From my conscious, subconscious, and cellular memory, take a deep breath. Release all mind matrix technologies, inorganic technologies, the mind matrix, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum from my conscious, subconscious, and cellular memory. Take a deep breath. I'm going to open up the portals in your feet, allowing you to root and ground into Sophia Gaia. I'm going to take off the legs, off the layers of the struggle, the limits, limitations, worthiness programs, fear of moving forward, fear of letting go, fear of really, really letting go, of being one with this earth, the trusting in the earth and Divine Mother. I'm going to open up a certain frequency of divine trust. It's coming from Pure Prime Creator. You can bring up some crystalline codes from Sophia Gaia, up your central channel, some opening your crown, completely Prime Creator, as above, as below, as below, as above. Bringing up crystalline codes of the authentic ascension aspect in the elements earth, fire, air, water, ether, and the sixth element of the diamond blue plasmic flame. So we're just allowing this to integrate into your central channel, into your complete nervous system. It's a minute about taking out all fight or flight, all victim, victimizer frequencies, holographic inserts, conscious traps, reversal timeline loops, any 5G sonic frequencies, COVID revival frequencies. Take a deep breath. I'm going to move this all the way into your entire nervous system, out to the fingertips, the toes, and we're going to line this with the crystalline grid network of Sophia Gaia. As we're just opening this all the way through your crown, releasing out any residual mind matrix energetics, any of those limits, limitations, judgments, worthy this program's fear programs, severing all contracts and agreements, seen and unseen, known and unknown, to be fearful of God, and to be fearful of the earth. We're just going to take that out. So I'm just increasing this frequency of Prime Creator and Sophia Gaia, and that I get that both me that want me thoughts. I'm going to drop in a diamond. It's actually like a golden diamond into your pineal. And I'm going to spin this and expand this. So it's just going to continue to communicate with your physical brain as you are stepping deeper into your I Am presence over this next period of time. At least a month, perhaps longer for many of you, and it's just feeding information down into the throat, into the high heart, into the solar plexus, sacral root, and to Sophia Gaia. It's just it's going to continue to awaken, but particularly within the cells of the brain. It's going to allow for I'm working on this is a very deep quantum level DNA charge frequency from this golden diamond spinning within your pineal. And it's just going to really like alchemize and clear out and balance these thought patterns to help you continue to expand and continue to expand into your I Am presence. It is done, it is so, it is done, it is so. I am free, I am free, I am free, I am that. We have a really strong presence of Divine Mother, a very beautiful pink light coming forward, also bringing in this divine peace. A lot of peace deep within the cellular body. And a blue light of a very galactic blue light of Divine Father, also bringing in, helping with the creativity, just that sense of being watched over, provided, as a sort of a provider, deep. This is going to be very, very deep in the quantum level of your DNA, so it's just like a somewhere deep, deep, deep inside, knowing I'm okay, I can let go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just take some deep breaths. Bring this calibration into this present moment. Your crown is completely open to Prime Creator. Your root into Sophia Gaia, as above, as below, as below, as above. Just imagining energetic roots coming out your legs, out your feet, wrapping around the crystalline core of the earth. These are crystal clear roots. It's just bringing this into your heart space, into the present moment, into this time, into this now moment. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Oh wow, that was quite powerful. Lots of stuff going on. My eyes were watering like crazy. I was yawning like crazy so much. Uh, that was great. How are you all doing? Now that I'm slowly coming back. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
Suggest a lot of water, drink a lot of water. Revisit this one too. This is a very powerful opening, and there's so much grace coming in. This is all about divine innocence and grace and love. I think many of you may cry, let it out, let it happen. I felt a lot. I feel like a lot of emotions are going to come forward. Let it. This is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So Scarlett says, awesome. Thank you so much. Nancy says, thank you. Larry says, wonderful. Thank you. Sherry says, profound. Yes. All of that. Aranima says, lovely, yawned and felt pressure in the center of my forehead. Yeah. Cindy says, thank you for that beautiful, thank you for that beautiful and powerful process and activation. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that was a lot. So please definitely drink some water. Yeah. So powerful. Tears came up. Yeah, there's just, that was beautiful. It was profound. And be gentle with yourself. Pippa says, feeling complete peace. Good. A lot happened in the head and the heart, Sunita says. Linda says, I was coughing a lot. Profound. Profound the way that you set the pineal spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. It doesn't matter to allow it to be.
Yeah, I was spinning clockwise actually.
Yeah. And Liza says, felt a diamond spinning in my pineal, lots of moving energy. Good, awesome.
And it's going to continue I feel like for the next month of really what it's doing is it was such a beautiful gift, really. It's just clearing, it's going very deeply into the quantum level of the DNA within the physical brain, and I can see it clearing just very deep places of fear, of places in which have been keeping you in a dialogue that you can't do or that you have to do, or that pushing. So it's just it's shifting and alchemizing those frequencies. So I think a lot of that stuff's going to come up. It will come up, and it may just shift out or whatever. But this is what it's doing. It's a continual motion. I feel a little bit even in the solar plexus, so you might feel a little bit of uncomfortable in the sort of stomach area a little bit, because I'm definitely feeling that. I think it's because it's triggering, which I'm clearing for a lot of you that are feeling that, because the solar plexus is where we identify ourselves, and so this is really really opening that. I can definitely feel a lot here too. So yeah. I'm continuing to move that. So don't worry.
Awesome. Jill says, what a blessing for today and such a special gift. Thank you, Cathleena. The book is wonderful and very helpful. So is the judgment program and personal session. I'm a kid in a candy store for Cathleena's creations. Thank you to all here, and thank you to our guidance teams for getting us to this special place. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Jill.
Absolutely.
Sherry says, felt bathed in sacred sound. Yep. Abby says, thank you. Powerful. And it triggered my light language and sound. So it's awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think your gifts are going to wake up. I think everyone's gifts. That's part of what's been taking place here too, is that your gifts. Absolutely, we all have gifts. So
yeah, exactly. So beautiful, so powerful. So should have brought Kleenex? Yeah, it's okay. Go get them. You might still need them for the next month, right? So it's okay. So of course, because this is recorded, you can go back and listen to the recording, go through the process again for yourself. Next time, Sherry, bring the Kleenex with you when you listen to it again, okay? And of course, if you'd like to work with Cathleena more in the sacrifice program, like I said, it's 9 weeks in package A, and package B is 9 weeks plus a personal session. So definitely you want to be working with Cathleena. It's not just about sacrifice. It could be anything that's coming up for you in that moment. So when you're doing the personal session, it's whatever's coming up for you, not necessarily sacrifice, right?
Yeah, the personal community thing, but sacrifice is such a big one. I highly recommend it for everyone. I mean, I think all of these courses that I'm doing, but this is such a big one in the energetic. It's, I think it's a very, very profound, and I mean, like I said, all of them are very, but this one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we can all resonate with it, because I can definitely relate to the energy and frequency of sacrifice. And it's something that we have done in lifetimes, no, not just in this lifetime, but in lifetimes. We have been playing out this frequency and this pattern of sacrifice in many different ways, right?
Yeah.
So definitely, if it, see how it resonates with you, but definitely if you can, if we have questions, is there an email to support? You can always email awakentohappinessnow at the support at awakentohappinessnow.com, or you can just email, reply to any of the emails that you get from me.
Yeah.
So they all go to the same place. Okay, hopefully that made sense.
Yeah. And you can also email me if you decide to at Cathleena Hailley
at gmail.com.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Scarlett said, my friend sitting with me said she felt like she had an out-of-body experience. Is that normal too?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And the thing with these processes, even on the recording afterwards, be willing to receive and be willing to let go, right? Just, don't think about how it should be or anything. Just be willing and open to perceive and receive and let go, whatever, no longer serves you, right? Whatever is coming up to be released and cleared.
Yeah, because these are working on so many multidimensional layers and levels. I mean, when I'm doing like a lot of the light language is communication on just multidimensional levels and layers. It's communicating with galactic aspects of self, with it's too complicated to even try to describe it to you of what's taking place in these types of activations. But yes, there's tremendous things, and because it's a quantum field, and because time is not linear, it's a continual. These are living. Everything that I'm doing, the communication, the talking it's a living energy basically. So it's nothing stagnant.
Yeah. Something I was gonna say, but I forgot now. So Anima is asking, what does it mean if your body jerks during sounds and light language? Energy moving, but go ahead.
Yeah, energy. Yeah, things are shifting and moving. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of communication. I think just being with that. It's also there's so many different reasons that takes place. Some is the alignment. Some is the releasing of it, that it wasn't aligned, that whatever is taking place is releasing, that type of stuff. So there's it's multidimensional within itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and just trust, like when you're listening to the process or recording or something, just trust that, whatever's happening is happening for your highest good. Whatever's releasing, whatever's coming up, whatever is being transmuted, whatever it happens to be, is happening for your highest good. And trust that it's right for you at that time. It's going to be different each time, because each time we're different, right? So it's not necessarily going to always be the same. So
continually, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow, that was so powerful. Whew, I guess we all needed this today. So thank you so much, everybody, for all your questions, and thank you, Cathleena, for always bringing so much to the conversation and so much to the show, because like I said, it wasn't just during the activation, it was throughout, and before we even started, the energies were already moving and shifting. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for your presence and everyone here, because it's always a co-creation, and as I always say, I am you, you are me, we are one. So we're all reflections of each other, and in this beautiful co-creation together is the energetic is all as one. And I just think that's really important for everybody here to take in, because we really want to move away from that sort of teacher-student role, in the sense that the teacher is somehow in a hierarchical position. I'm not in any hierarchical position. I mean, think about it more of this way than this way, right? Of coming forward, so that and really embrace that, Because I think the more that we can take that in, when, you know, everyone here was meant to be here as part of this co-creation. You are connected to these energetics. These are communicating to you. It is not little you over here and learning. No, you are a part of all of this. You are one with it. And so really try to take that in so that you can expand to that really most amazing, beautiful, dynamic being that you are, and meant to be here to show up for and as.
Beautiful. That's so powerful.
Thank you.
You know, and I love that energy and frequency of we are all one. You know, there's no, you know, someone is not better than somebody else, etc. We're all one, and we're all having this experience together, right? And so yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. So guys, yeah, more Kleenex, Sherry, absolutely. So have a great weekend. There's no more shows this week, but next week we do have 3 or 4 shows planned. So, you know, fingers crossed, everything. You never know. I'm always in flow, right? In flow with what's happening. And, you know, so thank you everybody for being here with us today. Definitely look out for the recording. It'll go out in a little while, and go back and watch or listen. And of course, you know, if you can, get the package and work with Cathleena, package A or package B. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again, Cathleena. So wonderful to have you with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings always. Bye for now.